Dumela, Sawubona, Sakpase, Namaste, Upshin, Dubra Ota, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep. Buenas noches, bonsoir. What's good, everyone? Greetings to everybody who is here. I want to thank you for joining us on this evening. This is season 5, episode 8. And then listen to the title. It is called The State of the Plate. The State of the Plate. Hungry for justice, understanding SNAP, food insecurity, and how we care for one another. Welcome to an episode of A New Class is in Session. My name is Doria Larrier, and I'm the host of the Doria Larrier Show. And I thank you all for joining us. Whether you're watching live on the replay, please let us know where you're watching us from, and welcome to our show. This is actually going to be part 1 of 2. We just realized because we're having such a wealth of resources and discussion topics within this, we knew we could not cover it in one session. So you're going to be joined by a beautiful sister who I've come into connection with by one of the members of my family. And only the people who know what that means knows what that means. But thank you to the brother who made the connection. And I know he is watching. So please help me welcome to the stage Sister April Jules.
Hi, greetings, everyone. Thank you, Sister Doriel.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. So we're going to begin, first of all, with getting some orientation to this question or to the topic for this evening. I'm going to tell you what I saw, which generated the interest in the deep dive in this conversation, and then how you came to this chat, and then you can sort of let us know how, what background you have to this. So for those of you who do not know, I live in Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush to be specific. Again, those people who understand why I said it like that, you know why I said it like that. And I drive to work. I drive to Queens. I live in Flatbush, and I drive to Queens every morning at about like 6:30 in the morning. And as I'm driving down, I have to pass, because I'm taking the belt. Those of you know New York, I have to pass to go to the belt, and I pass Kings Plaza. Before I get to Kings Plaza, I'm passing along Flatbush, and there's about 4 different stops or 4 different places on the avenue where it's 6:30 in the morning. It could be raining, freezing, snow, or freezing cold. But there are like 10 to 15 people already on a line, sitting in the cold. And I guess it's not supposed to bother me, but then again, why shouldn't it bother me? It should bother me. This is really important. Why are these elders, and they are our elders, they are our grannies for the most part, who is sitting, again, 6:30 in the morning, wrapped up, bundled, and the place that they're trying to get into isn't open until about maybe 9 or 10 in the morning. So they're sitting there for 3 hours or so, and I'm bothered. And I'm like, what's going on? So I started doing some digging. I participate in some events in my community that attempt to reduce this food insecurity issue. In this conversation, had a chat with a brother, a friend of mine, and he's like, you need to talk to the Sister April Jules. And so a couple of weeks ago, Sister April and I started chit-chatting, and I said, yes, absolutely. So I want to bring to the stage April. April, tell us how we got into this chat, what the background is that you have in it, and let's get into the beginning of the discussion, because again, this definitely will at least be a 2-parter.
Yes.
All right, sister, thanks.
Thank you. So shout out to Mr. Sean Edwards L. Had to do that because he's the one that connected us, and that's because we have lengthy conversations about all of these things. And SNAP hunger is a real issue in this country. So my background is I've been working for a family small business almost 11 years now. The company has been in business 36 years. We mostly do a lot of work with WIC, but we also have had some SNAP projects through, I guess you would call the vehicle as a subcontractor of a major statistics company or something, because we're experts in the field. as well as just knowing the ins and outs of the FNS and different food nutrition programs that are out there. And when we have experienced shutdowns before, there's always been a plan. There's always been a way to still get food benefits to the people that need them. This was an unprecedented experience. There really wasn't any guidance. There wasn't, it's being weaponized. If you're hungry, you're weaponized. You're homeless, it's being weaponized. It's unfortunate with this administration, but food should not be a commodity traded based off of your emotions or if people like you. People are hungry. So many people personally have called or reached out to me and asked me questions because I work in the field. So I'm the president of Burger Carol and Associates, and I am here representing myself as well as the company. But I am also a founding board member and recently elected secretary of the EBT Community Council, which is a nonprofit industry association. And I'm not speaking for them or our members in our group with that. So I am speaking from my experience, what I've heard, what I know, and provided Sister Doriel with a lot of resources to provide everyone here. When you don't know what to believe, where do you go? And you're hungry, so you don't know how long is this going to last, how or who can I reach out to. So I provided all that as much as I can, the links and different fact sheets to be able to help navigate the community, to get food, where to go, and hey, your representatives. So when it comes to seeing the grannies in the line early in the morning, is unfortunate. It is truly unfortunate that we are here, the wealthiest, best nation in the world, that we have to have seniors in line 3 hours early to try and secure food. And it's been more heightened. It's always heightened around this time of the year, the holiday time. And then, of course, we just came from a government shutdown. But food insecurity is every day, every week, every month, all the time. So I know right now everyone's in the spirit of giving, or they're experiencing something that they were never experienced before, maybe because of the layoffs or what have you. But this is the time of the year, and maybe set some goals for next year, because people will still be hungry next week, next year, and it's not a holiday. So the grannies, the elders in the cold, Social Security recipients, those that are disabled, veterans, they were impacted with the shutdown, just like the disabled children, regular children, foster children, and those that just are working full-time jobs for companies that keep them at a certain level that they still need SNAP, even though they're working 1 or 2 full-time jobs. So it's very real. There's a lot that can be done and should be done.
So we talked about how there are times in our life where, like, over 350,000 women, and just specifically referring to them, who possibly are or close to 6-figure earners, or have been slid to the side in terms of their employment status. We're dealing with the furloughs and the layoffs and such. And so there are more people, like many, many, many more people are now a part of the possibility, or the potential, actually not even the potential, the actuality of needing additional assistance. And so you shared, and I had an experience myself years ago of needing to utilize the government for food assistance at a time. But I pay taxes, and so there was one where I needed to utilize that. And then there are other people who are again, let's say let's just say, part of a variety of marginalized situations. Let's leave it at that. And who need to utilize that. And so again, over the past couple of weeks, we've had so many more people added to that group. And this conversation again is part one of two. It's going to be about like navigating, like what do we know, what are we aware of, what do we not know. Those few months that excuse me, I had that experience, and I would love for you to, well, that which you're wanting to do, of just trying to figure out, wait, I literally have to make a decision on how I'm going to eat and what I have availability for. What is the paperwork that I have to go through? Who do I sit with? How quickly can this happen? What is available? What is not available? So again, these conversations are like water cooler conversations. Some people may be in the room and they know these conversations. Some people may not. But as I'm looking around and, we're in this, like, I'll say like a food infusion season, right? Turkey giveaways for Thanksgiving and then holiday shares for different types of communities that are different than other times of the year. And so all that wrapped up in, what is the moment that you felt, of course, this is real, but I'm a part of a community that I may have looked at differently because I wasn't in the community?
Well, that was a whole lot. So
I know.
I know. I don't know where to start. So first of all, there's barriers just to get to be eligible to be able to get food. So unemployment too high for your family size, you're denied. Same thing with Medicaid, excuse me. We're taxpayers, and the barriers they put in just to be able to have food. And with supplemental nutrition assistance program, SNAP is supplemental. So what some people say, well, supplemental, it doesn't mean your whole monthly allowance should be spent, that the government's giving all on food. Well, yeah, supplemental, because it doesn't give me the can opener to open the can. It doesn't give me the pot or the spoon to cook the food. It doesn't let me, I can't buy paper products. I can't buy household goods. I only could buy food. So it's a real challenge and unfortunate that food is being weaponized. We're around again with more weaponization from this administration, wanting private information from certain states, or they're going to cut them off. So this is going to be an ongoing topic, and I'm sure people have heard this in the news, and we could circle back. But knowing that there's members in your community or church or congregation, locally at sometimes after the farmers market, there's some farmers that may have some things to give and help the community. And we should look at helping the community again more than just the holidays. But it's unfortunate that we're here. We shouldn't have to beg for food. We shouldn't have to choose between having a roof over our head and feeding our kids. The food dollars that they provide as supplemental, as expensive as food is, you can't get healthy food. You're getting food that's poisoning us. It's cheaper. It lasts longer, but it's not healthy. So everyone that is relying on SNAP are making sacrifices all the time. And it's unfortunate that we're here. In my personal experience, twice in my lifetime, once I was pregnant with my daughter, I got laid off from work, and this was California in the 90s. And I got laid off because I was pregnant in the type of work that I did. The insurance didn't want the risk of me because I was pregnant getting injured because working with at-risk youth. So they said, well, we'll prove your unemployment, relax until you have the baby. So I decided, okay, I'll go ahead and enroll in school and I'll collect unemployment. Well, at the time, unemployment was like, well, you need to be available for work 100% of the time. I said, but who's going to hire a pregnant woman at 6 months. Well, they're not supposed to
Wow.
discriminate. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Wow.
So, in order for you to get your unemployment, you're going to have to drop half your classes. So, at the time, the way the classes were set up, dropping half, I still wouldn't have qualified for the number. So
Right.
then I went ahead and like, okay, well, let me go get SNAP because I didn't want to get on food stamps, even though I was a taxpayer since I was working at 15 and a half, essentially. Um, I just, I didn't want to have to do that because there is a dignity thing. You're like, no, this is not me, right? This can't be me. This is not me. So I go and try and apply for SNAP. And it's like, oh no, your unemployment for your household, which is you and baby, and the amount you're getting is you don't qualify. And I experienced that twice. My
But you,
unemployment,
right. But you didn't qualify because the unemployment
my
was too
unemployment was
high.
too high.
So wait. So what could make it wait? What could make the unemployment low enough? Like what? I don't get that part. That's why I needed you to be on this call because I don't get
Again, this thresholds may have changed. This was in the 90s in California. So with me plus one, or me and I'm pregnant, and my unemployment, I don't know, 900 or 1200 a month was too much. I do know when I had experienced this when I got laid off in um, 2011, and now I have my kids in high school, and my unemployment I think was 18, maybe 21, somewhere in there, was too much for a family of three to get SNAP. I don't know what the thresholds are. I don't know if those things are different now because we're talking about the 90s. We're in 2025. So then you start having to lean on family and the community. And, it's, you don't really want to, there's a pride or a dignity thing, especially when I was one of those, I was working 3 jobs just so I'd stay busy and save money and do all these different things, to have to say, if you have leftovers, can I take them home?
Mhm.
Or I really don't have the gas, but I'm gonna go if I could have all your leftover. I mean, there were different things to be able to survive because the barriers. But I'm a
Right.
tax-paying citizen, and I make too much.
Right.
Unemployment's too much. It shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't. If wages kept up with the cost of living, we would not have this problem. And those that still couldn't, disabled or children still, can't work or don't meet those financial obligations, they shouldn't have to, go through those different hurdles. For a country that is, quote unquote, the wealthiest country in the world, we have a big homeless and food insecurity problem.
Right. So in taking a look at and again, this is a huge conversation. So again, it's going to be part 1 of 2. We're just delving into like the I guess like the basic information. So maybe between tonight and tomorrow, because tomorrow, please stay tuned, everybody. Tomorrow we're back for part 2, which is gonna be more like the resources. So tonight is like the why, and then tomorrow's like, so what? So what? No, so now what? There we go. So now what? What do we do tomorrow? Um, as I'm looking around again at people who are in this conundrum. So unemployment, you're working, you're not working, you receive unemployment benefits, but your unemployment benefits are too high, so then you can't get SNAP. So then my thinking is, what do they expect people to do to not be employed, but and then not be available to work, which will then take you out of that scenario. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find some additional people to help answer that question.
Right. And again, this was the 90s. I don't know what the requirements are today.
Right.
So that was the 90s in California. As progressive as California is, I'm sure there's some better resources than there was at the time. Um, But yes, the barriers are still very real. And then they added additional work requirements when we are a net negative of jobs and people are laying off, let alone the 350,000 we talked about when we first opened up that don't have jobs, or furloughed. Um, I don't know. They may have had six figures. They may live in an area. They may have multiple kids and still may need help. I guess there was
Right.
a new poll out. I don't have the statistics. It came out that the new poverty line is really not the 36,000 or 38,000 that they say. It's really like 100,000 is really the new poverty line because of how expensive everything is. So what do people do?
Mm.
It's leaning on the
Okay.
community,
Okay.
leaning on your friends, leaning on your family, and that's a lot.
It is. It is. So we were talking about, or one of the questions that I wanted to delve into is how families right now are being forced to choose between, let's say, in the situation that you referred to for your own life, am I going to increase my skill set by attending school to get myself better out of the situation, or at least to have more resources that I can pull from, right? In the
Mhm.
long, because that's a long-term game. And or do I sacrifice education? Do I sacrifice even medical care in order to make sure that I'm going to eat, or in this situation, or that you and your family is going to eat? And so, um, for people have to choose between medicine, education, transportation. I think because of the algorithms, right? I'm now, what's popping up on my feed in social media are, let's say, people who are living with a minimalist mindset, and not because of, oh, I'd like to do this, but it's because they have to do this. People who are housing insecure, people who are um, maybe transitioning from incarceration, and they're returning citizens. And so how those benefits and the lack thereof, or the SNAP situation, with all of that stuff, how that impacts families, the direct person in families who they love or care for or are responsible for. And so it feels like this huge domino effect. So one thing, and thank you very much for sharing, because it didn't occur to me. Again, I live in Brooklyn, so on Saturdays there is a huge farmers market in Prospect Park, or like at Grand Army Plaza, Flatbush, Eastern Parkway, where that converges. And I'll shop at the farmers market. And some people may know this. And I know it's not just at my farmers market, I know it's at many of them. In the center, there is a little booth, like a little kiosk, and people can go in order to get, like, kind of like tokens, or I would consider them coupons, in order to go purchase, certain produce and what have you. And so I was with my mom a couple weeks ago, right before Thanksgiving, trying to prepare, getting like some extra greens and what have you, and yams. And so this lady, and I don't know if she was projecting, I don't really know, but an a woman who was Asian, I can safely say that woman who's Asian. I'm about to walk into her like little booth, and she looks at me and she looks at my mom and she goes, "Oh, do you need money?" And I was like, "Why are you asking me that?" But she said, "No, go over there and they'll give you money for food." And I was thinking, why did she just say that? So I said, "No, I'm okay." In essence, I didn't want to take anything that I didn't need. She goes, "No, no, 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 no. You go. Go." And I'm like, "Really, ma'am? I can actually pay for this myself." And I'm kind of getting a little annoyed. And then mom was like, "We're not going to do that." And I said, "You know what? Let me just at least find out what the requirements are." I go walk over to the little booth, and I say there's a male and a female, and I said to them, um, "What are the requirements for utilizing these services. And the lady says, and you know that she was being scripted because she was like, hi. And then she said, anyone who is interested in receiving some support for food can just sign their name on the sheet. And I was like, well, do you need like my ID? Do you need, she goes, if you are in need of support, you can sign your name on the sheet. I said, okay. So anyway, so we did it. I felt kind of guilty, but then I realized they just said, just sign. You don't have to provide any information. And they give you, like, it was nice. It was, I guess, like 20, maybe like $20 worth of coupons. Then you go over and then use them. So in essence, the woman was like, she really wanted us to get this. So then she said, well, your mom, she's a senior. And so she could qualify. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's because she's a senior. But when I went over there, it was really like, so I was very glad that they didn't put any parameters on who could receive and who could not. In essence, it's on the goodness of your conscience. Do you feel that you need some support right now? In essence, no additional questions asked, no income statement, no, do you have children? What is your age? Like none of that. And I was like, that's interesting. I think that's good. Now, go ahead.
No, I agree. I do think that's good. That's great.
Right. So I was thankful that that's available. And I definitely want to continue to share that because there was some other people who were kind of walking around, and it was, I saw women with children in strollers and they were kind of like, oh, like looking around. And I knew that someone must have said, you can, there's a kiosk that can provide you with some support. And the one was kind of trying to ask around. So I was like, good, then I will continue to say that this is available for people. But what I didn't know is at the end of, let's say, the farmer's market, I was trying to be conscientious about it, but I couldn't stand around long enough to see, do the farmers, let's say, leave certain things that can go to a food pantry? Because I'm always interested. You don't sell all this stuff out. Are you really carrying everything back upstate? Are you really carrying everything out back onto the island? And then what are you doing? Because a lot of them can wilt over the next day or so. So I was interested. So when you said some of them will, offer to other people or maybe communities that they can use, I thought that was very helpful.
I think every little bit, every act of kindness, every act of generosity, every act of empathy, every act of helping the community needs to be shared. And hearing that was great. Excuse me.
No problem. No problem.
So I've been sick all week.
That's perfectly okay. Again, this is the digital couch. If there's family in the back, like my mother just called, I'm like, Mom, I can't talk right now. It's okay. It's all part of the environment. All part of the environment. We're all good. We're all good. So I really hope that between like tonight and tomorrow, if there are questions from people who are in the audience, that they'll be able to, to chime in. So let's talk about with this current state of affairs about how people may be what's the difference between like managing and surviving. So I guess I'll specifically give the statement of, families are being forced to choose again, like between food, medicine, whatever their rent or even mortgage, what their housing is, and how is that emotional weight affecting dignity. We talked about, like me, like walking over there, like I'm not in that situation, but then again, some people are, and like, what is just the presentation of how they can access the support, either the coupons or, the actual foodstuffs. What do they do about, let's say, if you're burned out? Because it didn't hit me when you said, oh, this is for the beans, but I don't have a pot to cook the beans in, or this is for the beans and I don't have a can opener to buy the beans. So now I'm thinking about people who are burnt out, or again, they may have to start all the way over. And then what type of resources are available to people so that they can connect the food stuff to the pots and the pans and those necessities. Um, but like there's surviving and then there's managing. And so with the current, let's say, rules of SNAP and how, again, it was turned off for a couple of weeks and now it's turned back on. How are those efforts being mm, supported or bolstered up so that people are not just surviving, but they're managing? Like anything that is new that's come on, across the airwaves, to make things a little bit better, and that's kind of relative. And then we can share the resource that we were talking about earlier.
I think people aren't taking food for granted. They never really did, especially if they are reliant on SNAP or any other type of food assistance. But I think more so they are probably visiting more food banks than they did before, just so that they can have a survival backup plan, so to speak, to provide some sense of security. I'm sorry, I'm having this.
That's okay. Having like a little
It's
fit,
that
no problem.
cold. I'm trying to.
That's okay.
Okay. I think it's some people also have different types of dietary needs. So some of these food banks may not provide what they need for their diets and may have to do a commodity exchange amongst family or community members.
Right. Actually, that's something that, and when you come back on, no problem. Then when we first started talking about this off mic, you were, I was mentioning that I had just supported a local elected official who had a turkey giveaway to the community. But it was definitely like first come, first serve. And once the turkeys were no longer available, I think there were some like whole chickens that were available. And then I think about, wow, like what about people who are vegetarian? Like what about people who, who don't eat meat and or fish or like meat and fowl, and like what happens with them? Like what are they able to get? So during this moment, they were, and I don't remember the number, maybe it was 150, I don't even remember. But once that was gone, then there were these whole chickens that were available. And again, like shout out to the people who are in the Flatbush area, like along Nostrand Avenue, and to, the elected official I did some volunteering with. But it was the response of the people who were on the line that took me a little bit aback. And then you shed some light on what that response was. And so the description is people on the line, let's say it was 150, the 150th person came, and then 151st person came, and they're like, oh, well, so what is there? Oh, it's a whole chicken. Oh, okay. And then some people are like, well, wait, like, I don't want a chicken. I mean, I don't want a chicken. I wanted a turkey. And I said, well, we're sorry, but this is what we have. And then once the chickens were gone, then it was just sort of like other foodstuffs, like some of the like other things that you would have for Thanksgiving, like a stuffing and yams and other things. But it was still like a good amount of things. And so I was a little like taken aback from that. And then you said something that sort of shocked me and I didn't understand it. And it was, what did you say? Like the bargaining. I guess I'll use that word, but you explain what I wasn't getting until you said it.
Well, obviously, so some people love turkey, flat out. Some people love chicken, flat out. Over the holidays, depending on how many people they have to feed, turkey goes a lot further than chicken would. But I know I don't eat turkey, and I've been limiting my chicken. But I'm hungry. But I may know someone who would want a turkey that maybe has some white fish or, something else that a commodity in trade. And turkey it weighs more, it's bigger, so, hey, I could help you. I got this turkey, it was free, or I got this Cornish hen or small chicken or whatever. can we exchange? And again, that's within your community, within your family. I'm not saying go up on Facebook raffling off free stuff, but people are doing what they need to do. And if I can't eat something that's good for me, but it came to me free, I would like to give it to someone also in need, but I can't eat this, or I cannot digest this, or, here's this 5-pound or 10-pound turkey. Is there a way we can, and kind of do this bartering or commodity trading or what have you, to be able to survive? Everyone eats, and hopefully everyone can eat something that works for their diet, works for their beliefs. A lot of people aren't thinking about halal or kosher or any of these other type or vegetarian and these things. I mean, it's free food, so we're trying not to be picky. I'm sure they're trying not to be very selective and very grateful. I mean, they stood in the line for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. So they're hungry and want the food. But when they get there, it's like, just like the other food line or the other food pantry, they're seeing all the same staples. There isn't much variety. And now they're trying to get creative to have the food stretch, feed the most they can. They're grateful to have it, but they're also looking for something that helps with their diet and not make them sick or what have you. So a commodity, because turkey is weighs more. It costs more. And for a family, that could last all week versus a chicken if they eat turkey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And so again, not until you said people could trade it for something else did I say, oh, wow. So someone would be, again, like standing online for 3, 4 hours and then take that and then trade it for something else. But again, my perspective was, it's the Thanksgiving season. A number of people, actually, I'm not one of them, though, but a number of people, that's the main thing on the table. Why would you want to trade that for something else? And again, I use this platform in order to expand or expound on thoughts and information that some people may have that everybody may not have, or that more people should have, just so that people can be more informed, so they can learn in order to grow themselves. The whole purpose of this. So,
right.
So
And
why don't we talk?
You're not the only one, right? It helps to know that you're not the only one out there that's thinking this or doing this or providing this. A lot like the dignity things. Some people are like, oh, I'm the only one in my family this way, but I'm the only one in my community. I'm not the only one.
Good. So I want to share this document that you shared with us, and I'll also put the link in the chat so that other people can have access to it. And so just so you know, folks and family, that tomorrow when we continue this conversation, and after I share this, we'll probably sort of pause in the next few moments and then continue tomorrow with like more of the resources that Sister April has brought to my attention that I want to share with people. Okay, so let's get this shared here. Okay, so this is called Solving Hunger in America. It's a document from FRAC. And when I think of FRAC, I actually think of the other FRAC, like FRACK. But this is Food Research and Action Center. It's a really, really great resource. Tell me if is it a newsletter?
This is, I would say it's a, you could probably call it a end of year or updated newsletter. It's 4 pages because they cover all the food programs, and they want everybody to know, first of all, there are organizations fighting to feed people. So this organization, whether you're on WIC, whether it's Summer EBT, it's SNAP, it's seniors, they are fighting for you. And this is one of those organizations that lobby, reaching out to reaching out to Congress, members of representatives and senators writing letters to USDA or letters to the president, whatever. They are providing statistics. They are asking them to reinstate SNAP and start feeding people. So this is just like a statistic fact sheet of what they've done over the year and this year. And I believe they provide this every year. So it just gives people a sense of security. They didn't just, show up. They've been here and they provide a lot of clarification when there's a lot of noise and you don't know what to believe, especially those that are on social media. There's so many different things out there. You don't know what to believe. You're watching certain news programs. You don't know what to believe.
Mm-hmm.
There are organizations out there that are fighting every day the good fight for the American people that need food assistance because insecurity is real. And so I shared this with you to share with your those that have joined us today, that there are options that can go through that kind of goes through the noise. If you're not able to get information from your local state agency that is providing benefits, you're not getting any information from USDA, this is a resource that works alongside and for and rallying for feeding Americans. And so this is what they've done and the stats that they've provided so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could sign up for a newsletter. You can find out and learn more, not only what they're doing, but learn a little bit more about each of the programs. And, it actually would be good if there was like an Amazon of food infusion, as you want to say. It's, because there are food banks and you have this website and that website and this website, and I live here and you live there. But if it was all in one of national organizations, the ones that aren't necessarily hosting the food banks, but fighting on the hierarchy level. And then you can go and find the ones that you need locally at your level, all in one. So everyone doesn't have to clicks, bookmark, save, all of these different places. So I challenge somebody out there, maybe let's see about getting one of these all in one spot. But until then, I shared this so you could see how this particular organization is providing information through the noise and what they're doing.
Excellent. So I will, as we are going to wrap it just for tonight, again, this is part 1 of 2. We'll talk about more resources tomorrow that Sister April has given to me, and I'm trying to put together this little, like a one sheet of things. We're going to kind of click through some things. So one thing I'm proud about my community, and I'm saying community, not just the local community that I live in, not just a couple of blocks of the neighborhood or the name of the township or what have you, but the intentional communal gathering that I'm involved in, and which is why I'm putting this information on this channel so that people can come to it, share it. You can stay connected, set your notifications and all that, like, comment, and share all that. But that you'll come to this channel in order to get some resources that you can share with people that are for the free 99, so that people can live their life a little better. That's the entire purpose of this channel. And I would say to people, those people who would share this information with someone who needs to know, you contact your local elected official. If you are not already part of another type of a community, I'm part of a faith-based community. My church is part of a network. Our local block, kind of like, not really block association, but our local community, they are aware of food pantries or food co-ops that are in our community that will do food shares. There's a great, I'll try to get the information. Actually, I will be able to get the information to put on tomorrow's resource day or resource show, of people that happen to be in my local community that do food shares. You don't have to have, again, it's no ID. That's not issue. You have a need, come, because of the goodness of our hearts. There
Right.
are what do you call them? Food, like refrigerators in our community that are stocked on a regular basis. And so there's, again, for the purpose of dignity, or for the purpose of dignity. So if people don't want to stand on the line, fine, they can go. And I'm proud that that has happened, and that we didn't need this, let's say, dignity question of, well, you need to present this in order to get this. You have a need, come. And with this particular communal group, they've done a great job at, hey, here's what we have. Other people saw them, and then more was given to this one family to then share with other people. And then other people like, oh wow, so you have that. Hey, you know what, I'm not using, let's say, this, but it wasn't food, it happened to be like, let's say, clothing or like small furniture things. So the other people who may have been burnt out, or people who are just coming to the area, or people who are starting over, or people who have children and there's a serious crisis need, that's available. But I would first say, again, go to your local church. Who most churches, let's say intentional churches that have a social, let's say, a social justice policy or a community service policy, they'll even have like once a month thing. And people literally, I know in my community where I live, people will rotate. They'll go, they know on this day go there, this day go there, this day go there. Elected officials, churches, social, justice organizations, community-based organizations, schools. I work for a school where once a month there is a food share. Some local organization, like a nonprofit, comes by like, hey, we know that people need food, and they partner with the school that I work with, and there's a share there, and it's amazing, it's beautiful. And so even though there is still a great need for people to get supplemental, and SNAP is part, but there are still people who need. My belief is that the people who really need are doing what they can to make contact. It's sad that our employment has been wielded as a dangling carrot.
Yeah.
In our faces, which is causing a lot of people to have to scramble and scrounge and make these decisions. Or am I going to pay to sleep in a warm space? Am I going to purchase, the serious medication that I need for the chronic illness and chronic, health issues? That I have to make those decisions, of course, is very disparaging, but that the community is responding when the government's attempt is not enough to fully sustain
Right.
the people's needs. I'm saying that very tactfully, right between the lines.
Right. I see there's a comment in the chat. I didn't know if you had any other comment.
So, thank you very much. So this is what I said. I said that the trade, I just popped in the trade commodity for the purpose of exchange, and you were talking about the turkeys. And then someone said, is that against SNAP policy to trade items like that? So I'm not going to respond to that. I'll let you respond to that. I'll respond after you do.
Okay. First of all, we're not talking about SNAP food. We're talking about free food from food banks, food, neighborhoods, food pantries, things like that. So that has nothing to do with SNAP. I'm not saying get SNAP and trade it. I'm not saying that. So please do not say that. What I'm saying is that when you're standing in line, not only for the holidays, but for any type of food line, and they don't have what you need, but somebody else in your neighborhood or in your family, then you guys can go ahead internally in your community and family to trade. It has nothing to do with the SNAP program. It's because of the shutdown or the lack of additional funding that most families still need, that they may find a way to have the community kind of come together and swap some things out. But that's with someone they know. So thank you for the question.
Okay. So for today, we'll take a pause and we'll come back tomorrow, and I'll try to do some posting in other places and share with additional networks who I don't normally share with, in order to get some additional eyes and questions on the conversation. Once again, this platform is so that I can continue to build this compendium of resources, of people, of links of documents that can be the answers to some people's questions, that can solve problems that some people have, and maybe they don't know where to go to get the information. But I want people to know that if you come here, you're going to get some information that's going to allow or to provide an opportunity for you to live your life a little bit better than you lived it yesterday. So Sister April, we will chat tomorrow for our part 2, and we're going to share more resources that you have brought for us in order to share with the community. And we look forward to everybody who is either, again, watching this live on the replay, share it with somebody, invite someone else, invite another community organization or a church or the family down the block who has some food to share with some people who wants to trade, the grannies who are sitting on early in the morning. But we just want to make sure that everyone has some additional information. So
thank you for having me today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, hold tight. So, folks, again, I just want to thank you for joining us tonight. And tomorrow we will be back. Please, again, today's conversation is important, and tomorrow is just as important. Tomorrow we'll have a link for most likely a one sheet that has multiple links. We're going to go through the links that Sister April has shared with us, all live, all up to date and ready to share with community. And regardless of the city or state that we live in, at least here in the United States, most of these links are resources that one can access for wherever you live. Again, the conversation is focused on SNAP and WIC and resources that people will need in order to access food, so that we don't have these food insecurity issues, so that we don't have to to ask what's on the plate. We don't have to ask where is the plate. Everyone's prayerfully will have a plate, but if you have a plate, how much is on it, and is it sustainable for you? And how are we as communities able to help those? And we could be it. We're only, some people say, 2 or 3 paychecks from experiencing moments where we need a little bit of food assistance as well. So before more of us get there than those who are already there, let's make sure that we have some resources so we can support our family, our friends, and the community that we live in. All right. Peace and blessings. And I will see you tomorrow. Same time, 7 p.m. Invite someone. This is a Learn to Grow You moment where I plant seeds to help you grow. I'm Doria Larrier, host of the Doria Larrier Show.